Hey guys, Richard at the range this week. Glad to see y'all back. We always appreciate y'all joining us for a video. This week we're doing something a little different. We're not actually talking about a gun, we're talking about the optics that we put on a gun, or red dot sights specifically. Red dots on rifles have been around for a long time, and I think most commonly lots of people are putting red dots on their ARs. And I have ARs with red dots on them, and those tend to be for a specific use. But what we've seen is a lot of people buying firearms that don't even have sights on them. So we wanted to talk about red dots as an option, because especially if you're getting like an AR or something like that, and you've got a front sight and a rear sight, and you're trying to do different kinds of shooting with it, it can be a little difficult at first. You know, we teach the basic AR class, so that's a good resource. But I think a red dot is an easy answer for a lot of applications. And then what we've seen recently is a lot more pistols coming with the red dot on them, and wanted to talk about that and the pros and cons briefly, and just sort of introduce you to the idea, the concept of using a red dot on different firearms. And I'm speaking on this subject today as someone who has entered the second half century of their life, and my eyesight is going, so red dots have become for me a little more attractive, because they make shooting easier when it gets harder to see the front sight and the rear sight based on what your prescription is. And I don't even have my readers on me today, so it's good I'm shooting a red dot, because I'm right there at that moment where I need to make a decision about bifocals, progressives, and red dots can extend your shooting enjoyment, I think, if you're starting to have vision issues. So let's talk about the pistol first, because I think that tendency is the newest. We've seen a lot of red dots now on pistols, and we've seen a lot of pistols that come with the removable plate, so they're called optics ready pistols, because they can accept this red dot. When is a red dot appropriate on a pistol? Well, like I said, depending on the length of the gun these days, that determines how fuzzy the front sight is for me. And so I like the idea, and I've shot this gun a couple of times, but I like the idea of having a sight where I only have to focus on one thing, and I'm not, you know, shifting my focus between the target, the front sight, the rear sight, and then trying to get that front sight really in focus. If I have a red dot, I have one point to focus on. I put that on the target, and then I concentrate on my trigger pull. So I think red dots also are very good in situations where you need fast target acquisition and quick shots on target. Where I think sights still hold the edge is when you're doing any kind of critically aimed shot. I still think, and even with my bad eyesight, I think that using the sights, it's better for critically aimed shots. It's just more accurate, and I'm more consistent. Maybe it's because I practice that all the time, and I'm not that practiced with a red dot. But I do think that the sights are still more accurate. So I'm gonna stand up here, and I'm gonna fire 5 shots with the red dot. One of the things that determines how accurate a red dot is how large the dot actually is. And so what I'm shooting today looks like a 1 or a 2 MOA dot. I'm gonna shoot the top left target here. I'm still concentrating on proper form. I don't even know if this thing is sighted in, but I'm putting the red dot in the center of the circle, and we can see if I have good form and good shots, those shots are going in that red circle. That was probably me chasing the dot. That's one of the things you have to worry about with these red dots, is it distracts you sometimes. But there we go. Once I started paying attention again, I was back on target. So fair to middling, I would say. We're at 7 yards. If I use the dots on this SIG 320, I'm going to ignore the red dot. Now I'm covering the target with the night sight, and I was a little high, but I'm going to go to the same place. That may have been a bad trigger pull. If I would just be quiet and shoot, maybe that would be better. But I'm stinking it up with my iron sight, so that is all my fault. Out of ammo. I do think that those iron sights are more effective in a lot of cases than a red dot. I do think red dots are very effective when we're talking about quick shots on target. If I needed to shoot quickly, it would be faster to pick up that one red dot on the target. And so I think in a large sense, it depends on how you're going to use your gun. If it's a self-defense gun, then a red dot makes sense, because now I don't have to worry about night sights. I've got an illuminated red dot that doesn't project, physically onto the target, that I can pick up quickly, get on target quickly, and employ the firearm quickly. So I think that's a definite advantage to the red dot. It's all about how you're going to use your gun. Now, one of the most common things we see are red dots on rifles. And again, the same logic applies. If I want quick target acquisition and shots on target quickly, I do like a red dot. If I'm hunting, I still tend to opt for a magnified optic, although this year I am running a 1x4 magnified optic that also functions as a red dot. So I've got multiple capabilities. But when we get into a rifle and start shooting a red dot, one thing you'll notice, and I think this one is sighted in, we'll just see, is at a greater distance, again, depending on the size of your red dot, failure to fire. Oh, we had a jam. So depending on the size of your red dot, if it's a 2 MOA dot or a 3 MOA dot, that's how accurate your rifle or carbine is, right? So I like at least a 1 MOA dot, but when we're talking about rifle distances, that adds up quickly. So if I want to make some critically aimed shots with a rifle at distance, I'm going to choose a scope. But if I just want to get rounds on target at a close to intermediate distance, bottom right, then a red dot makes sense, right? Because I can get shots quickly on target. I do, on occasion, use a red dot for hunting, but I'm also not shooting past 50 yards. Anyway, I hope that clears up a little the whole red dot question, whether it's appropriate or not. We're going to run a special through August 5th. If you purchase an optic here at the store, we're going to do free installation, free bore sight. So if you've been holding off, we're coming up on hunting season. If you need a scope or a red dot or something like that, come by the store. We have plenty of red dots in stock. We have good scopes in stock. Buy them between now and August 5th. We'll do a free mount and a free bore sighting. I hope that encourages you, and I encourage you to get out and play with these things. I need to play with them more, but we look forward to seeing you in the range for your red dot. Hope you have a good week. Y'all stay safe.